The movie opens in England with Jenny, a primary school teacher, finishing work and meeting her boyfriend Steve, who waits with an engagement ring, planning to propose. The couple has arranged a romantic weekend at a flooded quarry called Eden Lake, which Steve says will soon be taken over by developers. After hours of driving, they reach a small town and stay at a motel, sensing the locals' hostility toward outsiders. Jenny is especially disturbed when she sees a woman angrily slapping her child just for playing. The next morning, they drive through a gated community called Eden Lake, deep in the woods, and finally arrive at a beautiful, isolated lake where they intend to relax all weekend. They meet a boy, Adam, who is catching and drawing insects. When Jenny tries to talk to him, Adam says his mother warned him not to speak to strangers. The couple leaves him alone and spends the afternoon sunbathing by the water. A gang of rude teenagers soon arrives and starts bullying Adam, crushing the insect he collected. Jenny is unsettled, but Steve dismisses it as boys being boys and suggests they stay out of it. Later, while the couple naps, Jenny wakes to find a dog barking at her, dragged away by the teens, who sit nearby blasting loud music. Steve goes for a swim, but the dog again approaches Jenny, barking and drooling, pushing Steve to confront the group. The gang, Brett, Cooper, Harry, Ricky, Paige, and Mark, refuses to turn the music down or control the dog, Bonnie. They mock Steve, and Paige accuses him of being a creep watching her body, humiliating him. Jenny suggests they move, but Steve refuses to be intimidated by kids, so they stay even as the teens ogle Jenny with binoculars. Eventually, the group leaves, though Brett flashes his genitals at Jenny on the way out. That night, Jenny and Steve camp by the lake and hear unsettling sounds from the woods, but decide to ignore them. In the morning, they find their food swarming with insects and choose to eat in town instead. They discover their car tire has been punctured by shards of a beer bottle left by the teens, but Steve angrily changes it and drives out. At the diner, Steve vents to the waitress about the youths and asks if she knows their parents, but she coldly repeats, "Not my kids," and offers no help. Leaving the diner, Steve spots one of the gang's bikes outside a house and decides to confront the parents. He walks into the apparently empty house, calling out, but gets no response. The owner, John, suddenly returns, forcing Steve to quickly hide upstairs. When he accidentally makes a noise, John assumes it is his son, Brett, and angrily calls for him. Panicking, Steve climbs out a window and slides down the tiled roof, scrambling back to his car without being seen. Later, back at the lake, the couple has a peaceful moment and Steve decides to propose. As he reaches for the ring, Jenny notices their beach bag containing their car keys is gone. They rush to look for the vehicle and realize it has been stolen by the teenagers. While searching, they are almost run over by their own car, wildly driven by Brett, who shouts insults as the group speeds away. Night falls as Jenny and Steve trudge through the woods and come upon the teens again, now kicking a cage with a trapped animal. Steve confronts them and demands his keys, phone, and wallet. Brett denies everything, but Steve points out that Brett is wearing his sunglasses. Suddenly, Steve's phone rings in Brett's pocket. As Steve tries to grab it, Ricky pulls a knife, and in the struggle, Bonnie becomes aggressive. Steve accidentally stabs the dog. Brett desperately tries to stop the bleeding, while Steve offers to take Bonnie to a vet. Brett instead furiously throws the keys at them and orders them to leave. As Jenny and Steve drive away, Bonnie dies, and a devastated Brett orders his friends to hunt the couple. Their car soon gets stuck on a slope. The teens surround them from higher ground, throwing rocks and smashing the headlights. Steve manages to drive forward blindly, but in the darkness, the car crashes into a tree and branches spear through the windshield, impaling him. Gravely injured, he begs Jenny to go to town for help.
Jenny runs into the forest but hears the teens approaching and hides in bushes. They fail to see her and instead surround the wreck, turning their rage on the helpless Steve to avenge Bonnie. At dawn, Jenny leaves her hiding spot and returns to the car, only to find Steve gone. Following a trail of blood, she discovers him brutally wounded and bound with barbed wire to a wooden post. Brett explains they plan to use him as bait to draw Jenny out and torture her as well. Harry is visibly disturbed and pleads with Brett to stop, but Brett refuses. When Harry says he never touched Steve, Brett threatens him with a knife and forces him to participate, ordering Paige to film everything so no one can blame only him. Brett makes each teen stab Steve in turn, while Jenny, hiding nearby, watches and sobs. With no reception, she connects to Steve's phone via Bluetooth and tries to call 999. Brett notices the incoming call and realizes Jenny is close. He ends the call and Steve shouts for her to run. Jenny bolts into the woods as the gang chases her on bicycles, eventually crashing into a log and losing her. She stumbles upon a locked trailer and spots a walkie-talkie inside. She tries to reach it through a narrow opening, but it falls and breaks. As the teens near, her jacket gets caught in the chain on the door, so she wriggles free, leaves it behind, and hides behind the trailer. The gang smashes their way inside, searching, unaware she has climbed onto the roof above them. Elsewhere, Ricky discovers Steve has slipped free of the barbed wire and alerts Brett. The group splits up to search. Steve reaches the car and opens the trunk, triggering the alarm and drawing the kids back, so he hurriedly grabs some supplies and limps away. Soon, Jenny and Steve find each other. Steve can barely stand, so Jenny supports him to a small wooden cabin and tends his wounds. While treating him, she finds the engagement ring and realizes he planned to propose, and he tells her about his dream honeymoon in Africa and that he already sought her father's blessing. When they hear the teens approaching again, they have to flee, hiding in the water beneath the cabin floor. The teens burst into the hut, seeing only bloody footprints, while the couple silently crouches below. After the kids leave, Jenny pulls Steve from the water, but he is fading fast. Knowing he will die without real help, she hides him in some bushes and heads toward town alone. Before leaving, she puts on the ring to show she has accepted. Following the power lines, Jenny steps on a spike in a hidden trap, which pierces her foot and knocks her down. Her cries attract the gang, so she drags herself into a grove, bites on a stick, and painfully yanks the spike out to keep from screaming. Barely able to walk, she continues and eventually meets Adam again. She begs him to take her to his mother. He says his mom is at work, so she asks him instead to lead her toward town. He appears to agree but guides her deeper into the forest while secretly texting someone. Jenny tells him to call the police, but he claims his phone has no signal and he is only playing a game. Sensing betrayal, she reaches for his phone just as the teenagers arrive, revealing Adam has been helping them. Jenny later wakes tied to a tree beside Steve's now lifeless body. The teens pour gasoline around them, planning to burn the evidence. Harry protests that they cannot kill her, but Brett ignores him and tells Paige to film. He forces Adam to light the match. Terrified, Adam hesitates until Brett threatens him, and then he throws the lit match, setting Steve's corpse on fire and igniting the tree. Jenny begs for mercy as the flames spread. The fire burns through her ropes and she breaks free. When Brett lunges, she knocks over a can of fuel and throws a burning branch into it, creating a wall of fire between them and fleeing into the woods. Brett seizes Adam and threatens to burn him if Jenny returns, but she keeps running and from a distance watches in horror as Brett douses Adam in kerosene and sets him alight. She vomits at the sight while the others recoil, too frightened to confront Brett.
Later, Jenny finds a large guide map, smashes the glass, and studies the route just as the teens draw closer again. She hides in a dumpster. Ricky tells Brett that Jenny stole the map and now knows where to go, but Brett shrugs it off, confident she will not get far. After they leave, Jenny climbs out and is spotted by Cooper, who approaches, seemingly wanting to help. Panicking, she stabs him in the neck with a shard of glass. He collapses and dies in her arms as she realizes the horror of what she has done. By night, the remaining teens are still searching.
Brett hears Paige scream and discovers Harry and Paige at Cooper's body. Harry blames Brett and demands to go home. Brett refuses and plays the video of Harry stabbing Steve, trapping him with guilt. When Harry tries to call someone, Brett snaps and savagely beats him until he lies still. Paige, horrified, runs away into the darkness. Meanwhile, Jenny reaches a main road and collapses in front of a van. The driver, Ree, is stunned by her condition as she begs for help, saying they killed her boyfriend. Instead of taking her into town, he drives toward the woods, explaining that his younger brother, Ricky, is still out there. Jenny realizes in horror he is related to one of the gang members and pleads with him to stop, but he continues until they reach the Eden Lake Gate, where he gets out to speak to Ricky and Mark. While they are distracted, Jenny slides into the driver's seat and speeds off. On the road, she briefly sees Paige run out, but Jenny does not stop. Eventually, she reaches town, loses control, and crashes into another car, smashing through a fence into a backyard where people are having a party. She stumbles out, screams for help, and collapses as the partygoers rush to assist her. Some time later, Jenny wakes in a strange house, lying on a bed while a woman tends to her wounds. Another woman answers a phone call. Looking around, Jenny notices photos of Brett and realizes she is in his family's home. Panicking, she begs to call an ambulance, but John appears and tells her to keep quiet. She asks to use the bathroom and quickly locks herself in, searching for an escape route. The window is too small and solid to break. Outside, people shout as they hear about the violence in the woods and recognize Ree's van. With no way out, Jenny arms herself with a razor. John kicks the door open. Paige's enraged mother attacks Jenny, but the men pull them apart. The adults are revealed to be the parents of the teens, and Brett is there, accusing Jenny of murdering his friends. Jenny insists they killed her boyfriend, but no one believes her. One man nervously warns John to stop before the police arrive, but John insists the police will not learn the truth because the town protects its own. He orders Brett to go to bed, and when the boy hesitates, John slaps him. John and several men then drag Jenny back toward the bathroom, intending to kill her, while Brett retreats to his room and slams the door, shutting out her screams. The film ends with Brett calmly deleting all the torture videos from Paige's phone, putting on Steve's sunglasses, and staring at himself in the mirror with a cold, sinister expression.